Hi, my name is Johnny Busby with Buzzsaw Busby Chainsaw Arts, and I'm making this video as it was suggested to me that I should make a small video to answer some frequently asked questions, mostly by other aspiring artists. And so what I'm going to talk to you about just for a few moments is how to become a full-time artist. Um, I've got 7 different steps, and so I'm just going to go down the list, and hopefully these steps will help you. These steps can apply to just about any type of art, whether it be sculpture, whether it be painting, drawing, things of that nature, even music arts and stuff. I believe some of these steps could be applied to it, but we're mostly talking about tangible art, painting, drawing, sculpting, things of that nature. Um, so the first step is you want to make art. You want to make as much art as possible, and you want to get better and better at it. Never be content or satisfied with where you're at as an artist. Always try to improve upon your artwork. Take criticism constructively. Someone says, hey, the head's too big, the colors are all wrong. Take that constructively and learn from it. Step back from the piece and see if there is room for improvement somewhere, and always be trying to improve upon your artwork. Number 2 is realize that just because you're a full-time artist now does not mean that you're going to have all kinds of flexibility with your hours. You've got to treat it like a full-time job. It's not something that you're going to be able to do when you feel like doing it. You've got to get up every morning with a mindset that, hey, this is a day. I've got to get to work. I've got to make some art. I've got to find some ways to market my art. But don't think that you're going to have all kinds of flexibility because you're a full-time working your own hours artist. You've got to treat it like a regular job, or else you will never be successful. Number 3 is you've got to figure out how you want to sell your art. Now, this right here is a little bit more in depth because there's so many different ways you can market your art. Now, when I first started, and I've been doing this for over 13 years now, when I first started, I would do roadside selling. Finding a spot on the road somewhere, setting up outside your car, your pickup truck, and putting all your pieces out and just sitting there and selling your stuff on the side of the road. It is profitable. You can make some money. Sometimes you won't make nothing. I will say there was many times I sat out there a whole Saturday and I sold one piece. But most of the time I would walk away with something, whether I sold all of them or I walked away with a custom job, a commission job that somebody ordered. It's a good way to get started. It's not something that you want to continue to do. You want to find other methods and avenues to be able to get your art out there on a more consistent basis. But it's a way to get started. It's something. Um, Number 2 is consignment. You can do consignment shops. They're usually in every town. There's a consignment shop somewhere. And the only thing about consignment is you're going to understand. You got to understand they're going to have to sell it before you get paid. They usually want 35, 40% or so, and that's fair enough. But you've got to wait until they sell it. So it might sit in there 2 days. It might sit in there 2 months. But nonetheless, make sure they're not just decorating the store with it or putting it behind other items. You need to go in there and check on it, see what's sold, see where it's at, see if it needs dusting off, things of that nature. But that is a method. It's a way to go. Galleries, there's plenty of art galleries that will take your artwork and they will exhibit it for you. Also, wholesale. Now, wholesale is a way, it's a method that I did for over 8 years. It's a very consistent way of marketing and selling your products, your artwork that you make every week. But you got to understand that they are in it for a profit. They will purchase your products usually at a 50%. Whatever the suggested retail value is, they usually want to give you about 50%. So you got to understand they're wanting to turn it over quickly, and also you need to have a minimum order for them. They need to buy at least $500 worth of your artwork in order for you to sell to them. But if it's something that they feel they can turn, most retail shops that buy wholesale from artists, they will readily just go ahead and buy it from you so that they can make some money off of it. It is very consistent. I did it for over 8 years, and it's a very consistent way whenever you can find some good shops and good locations, usually in a tourist town or something. It's a great way to make a living, honestly. So wholesaling your product or your artwork is definitely a way to go. There's social media. There's a website that you can build. Now, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to maintain it. You're going to have to get on social media consistently, respond to comments, always update it, put new pieces on there. But the website and the internet is definitely it's a way that I sell a lot of my artwork. So it's definitely profitable to get online, get on the internet, and get your artwork out there as well. Um, and then there's always a retail shop. You can open your own retail shop. That's not something that I would recommend necessarily because it's not for the faint of heart. I've actually opened my own retail shop about 3 years ago in Woodland Park, Colorado, and honestly, it's very draining. You're constantly thinking about bills. You're constantly wondering. You've got to pay someone to watch the shop while you make your artwork. You go to a show or something or an event, you've got to have somebody watching the shop. You got to pay them. So a retail shop with the overhead is definitely draining. A lot of stress comes with that. So if you're interested in making art, and that's what you love to do, honestly, opening your own retail shop is not necessarily the best route to take. In my opinion, it's best just to find someone that will consistently market it for you and share the profits. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to share your profits. Don't think that you're going to get 100% of every piece that you make. You might get lucky at times and you get a commission order, but that's not usually going to be your bread and butter. It's going to be sharing your profits, finding somebody that can move it for you for a percentage of the profits. So those are some of the ways you can sell your artwork. Number 4 is you want to make what sells. You cannot expect that, just because you're an artist, you want to only do what you're inspired to do. For me, I have to make little bears all the time. It's not it's not what I always want to do. It's not what I feel inspired every day that I get up, that I feel so inspired to go make a bear. But guess what? It pays the bills. I know I can't go wrong if I have no custom orders and I have nothing else to make. Then I know I can't go wrong going and making a bear because I know it's going to sell. Now, making what you're inspired to do is necessary as well because we're artists. So we've got to be inspired and we've got to do something that we're inspired to do. But you've got to do that part time. It's not going to be your full-time gig to sit there and do all the time what you're inspired to do. You've got to make what people want, what people are buying. Um, for example, I did a wolf. I had this big piece of blue spruce, and I was so inspired to do a a life-size wolf on all fours. And so what I would do is I would go out and I would make my little bears, and I would make what sold. I would work on my custom jobs, and then I would go over and I would spend some time each day on the wolf. So I would spend part time on that. Well, I finally finished it. I took it down to the retail shop and it sat there for about 2 months or so. And finally, someone bought it. About 2 months later, someone purchased that wolf, and it brought a very good price as well. So you can make money off of your inspirations, but don't expect it to be your bread and butter. You got to make something that sells. So just let that be known. Find what sells in your area and begin to make that and paint that or produce that, however you do your artwork. Um, Number 5 is you've got to schedule all of your work on a calendar and stick to your schedule. Don't try to deviate. And then as the demand increases for your artwork, go ahead and raise your prices. That's number 6. Go ahead and give yourself a raise. If you're backed up for 2 months, you've got custom orders, and you think it's time to go ahead and raise your prices some, but don't go crazy. Just raise them maybe 5–10%. You don't think that just because you've got 2 months worth of work, everybody on earth wants your artwork. Just raise it up some, but there's nothing to feel guilty about giving yourself a raise. You deserve it. You've amassed some customer base, and people love your art because they're spending money on it. So go ahead and give yourself a raise. And then number 7, and probably the most important step, is to try to be content. Don't think that you're going to get rich overnight. Don't think that within a year, 2 years, even 10 years, you're going to be financially independent because that's not usually the case. So what you want to do is learn how to be content with where you're at. Know that as long as you're working hard and you're doing your best, that's all that's really required of you. So just do your best, work hard, follow the steps, and then live. Just love what you do. Just make your art and enjoy it. Don't try to over expect or feel guilty because you're not making as much money as someone else. Just enjoy doing what you do and let it grow and let it blossom. Thank you very much, and God bless.